Very pleased with this turnout tonight, and we're happy to share. When I scheduled this, I didn't realize it was the night after the real State of the Union. I can't promise that it'll be as fancy or we'll follow the same routines. I hope there's no rebuttal at the end. But yeah, please clap along the way. We'll cue you on what the appropriate time. But I want to start by just introducing the many administrators that we have here, and then also members of the school committee who I'm very pleased are here. I would just want to start by acknowledging school committee members who are here. Janine Cook, I see her in the back. You can wave, Ms. Cook. Kate Morgan, way back. I don't know how you're going to hear me back there. We have Tom Markham in the back as well. Greg Liakos, who's here, and then our chair, Chris Callahan, who's right here as well. Did I miss anybody? Hope not. Okay. We have many administrators from the Wakefield schools. You can see that they were required to be here tonight. But it's important for our staff to hear from you and to be present tonight, and they'll be leading breakout sessions this evening. So I'm going to start, just if you could stand up and wave so they know who you are. We have the principal of the Greenwood here, Deb Calora, or Ms. Calora. We have the principal director of Doyle, Ms. Perriello. We have the principal of the Woodville, Ms. Zatoli. Okay, we have the principal of the Galvin, Mr. Bedrosian. We have the principal of Wakefield High School, Mr. Metropolis. Okay, we have Dr. Woods from the Walton will be joining us a little later. She will be here for the breakouts. She's not here at this moment. Mr. Tetrault is here, who's the assistant principal from the Galvin. Mr. Music, who's the assistant principal from the Galvin. Mr. Liberti, where are you? Assistant principal at Wakefield High School. Mr. O'Leary, assistant principal at Wakefield High School. And we have Miss Sullivan. Is she here yet? Here she is, who's the assistant principal at the Woodville and the Dolbear, but she's been spending all her time at the Dolbear while the principal is out in the last few weeks. And then we have members of our, is Mr. Beebe here as well? Mr. Beebe, who's the guidance director for Wakefield High School. Sorry, didn't see you come in. And then we have Miss O'Neill, who's the director of special education. Our business manager is in the way back, Mr. Pifferling. And we also have our director of visual and performing arts, Mr. Bankert. And our director of health, wellness, and athletics, where is he? Mr. Boyages as well. Did I miss anybody? Did I get everybody? And our assistant superintendent, Dr. Smith. I just wanted you to see all the faces who will be here. They'll be leading sessions. Dr. Smith and I are going to tag team this presentation much better than last year when I had to give it by myself. So this is why you have to have an assistant superintendent so you can share the responsibility. But we're very excited to share with you the work that we're doing. And we're going to highlight tonight some of what we think are some real positives, and then areas that we know we need to continue to grow. This is not all about, there's a lot of areas to celebrate, but there's also areas that we know we have some work to do around our district strategy. You have in front of you a two-side, you have an agenda on one side, and on the back, it's actually going to have a dual purpose. For the presentation, it's a guide on what our strategy is, and then it will serve as the feedback form that you'll share with us at the end of tonight's session once you go to breakout groups. We'll just get started here. So tonight we're going to start with just an update of where we are in the district strategy, which we launched this fall for the next 3 years. We're going to discuss some emerging priorities that we've heard, Dr. Smith has heard, our administrators, of areas that we still feel like we need to continue to allocate resources and dedicate our time. I'm going to share with you a little bit about the upcoming budget process, because we're in the midst, but we're not far from sending our first draft budget to the school committee in the next month. But I want you to have a sense of the timeline that's upcoming, and then we really want feedback from you this evening. And so you'll be leaving us with this form at the end of the night so that we can collect the data and we can look at it internally. So you know this is being filmed both by Wakefield High School, our students, so thank you in the back, and by WCAT. So it'll appear in both places. We have it on our website and on WCAT. So if somebody missed this, they can go back. If you feel like you really want to watch this again and you missed something, you can always go back and watch it as well. So our values, and so we talked a lot about this last year, but I want to reiterate sort of what I captured, I learned during my first year here, because it still holds true about as a school district, some really core. I don't know if values is the right word. It's actually guiding principles that is guiding our work based on what I had heard from the community. The first is around engagement. I heard a lot from people last year about the need to better engage all constituents, families, staff, community, and because people want to know the work that's going on in the school district, and in particular, ways that they can support what our vision and our direction as a school system. It's an area that we have, I think, have taken some important steps forward, but we're not where we want to be. I don't think we communicate enough and report out enough on the work at our individual schools and at the school district level, especially as it relates to our teaching and learning initiatives. Beyond just reporting about the fun things that are happening, which is great, it's also important that we are engaging our families around the core work that we're doing. The second guiding principle is about operating efficiently. We can't allow operational needs to drive the direction of the district. One of the things I learned in looking at our budget over the years, and also how we were committing our resources, is that a lot of what we did was we focused on the classroom last. Obviously we need safe buildings, we need to heat our buildings, we need to keep our facilities in good shape. But all of that should be in pursuit of what happens in the classroom. And so we are still trying to right-size how we use the always finite resources in a way that maximizes the impact on classrooms, teachers, students, the student experience. It's looking at the central office. Are we allocating our resources appropriately there? Are the operational expenses, are they excessive, or are they just what we need to make sure that we run in a sound operation? The third area or guiding principles around accountability. The importance of, if we're going to have high expectations for our students and our schools, there has to also be support, and the adequate support. And until we put the supports in place, which I think we're moving, you'll learn more tonight about what supports we put in place at the schools, our teachers. Until we get that right, it's hard to have the high expectations that we know we need to have in this community. But once we do, we need to be held accountable. And as a superintendent, if we say we're going to do something, I need to be able to report out to the community that we did or did not, and to be able to explain it transparently. And that, I think, is an area that we're still evolving. I mean, tonight is an example of that. This is what we said we're going to do. This is where we think we are right now, both the good and the bad of our work. Innovation. To me, innovation is critical for us to move forward as a school district. I heard often that Wakefield found itself being the last one to implement something. I heard that from teachers, I heard that from families, but mostly from teachers. Why aren't we the first? Why can't we be on the cutting edge of new practices, programs? I think they're absolutely right. There's no reason why we can't. With that comes risks, calculated risks, but with that comes risks. But I'd rather risk trying to do something that is going to make a significant impact on children than just wait to see what everybody else does first. And so I don't think we're there yet. I wouldn't call us yet an innovative school district, but I think we're moving in that direction. And with our partnership with WEF, we launched this year innovation grants, which was, I think, a first sign that that is something we really want to cultivate, and we want to reward our staff who really have ideas that are outside the box, that represent a new way of thinking, that is going to engage our learners differently, and perhaps hook them into schools in ways they haven't been before. Consistency, I hear this all the time. Lack of consistency across schools, across grade levels, across teams. By no means are we there yet. I think it's not about creating robotic experiences, but it's about ensuring a high level of consistent, rigorous learning experiences across the district in every school for every child. Every first grader, every second grader, we should have a high standard of the experience that they get. Again, I think you're going to hear tonight that we're moving in that direction, but I'd be lying if I said we were there yet. We still have inconsistency across the elementary schools, not suggesting one is better than the other, but the experiences are different. At the middle school, I would argue that depending on what team you're on, it's a different experience. Not suggesting that one is better than the other, but that's problematic for us as a system as we're trying to prepare students to walk across the stage and graduate in 12th grade, career and college ready, with certainty that they've received the seminal experiences that they need to have going through the grade levels. So these continue to be principles that guide our work and our thinking as we think about our strategy and as we move into budget season. So now, if you look, our strategic plan was broken up into three big buckets, three big areas. And the first, if you look at your sheet, is quality teaching, which is about investing in and developing in our educators. And there's a series of initiatives. There were three key initiatives, which you see here, for every one of our objectives. And what we're going to do is we're going to take you through the objective and the initiatives around them and give you an update of where we are. Dr. Smith is going to assist me with this. So our first objective is around the investment of educators. Nothing is more important than us to make sure that we are recruiting, retaining, and developing the most talented people to be in front of your children. I happen to believe that we have many, many talented teachers, but with any profession, you've got to grow your own. You've got to develop. We have to make an investment in their development. And we heard a lot from teachers that we could be doing a better job in that area. And we heard from principals that so it's not just about teachers, it's also about investing in our leaders as well. We want this to be an attractive place to work. We want this to be a place that you can grow as an educator and you develop. To me, it's a sign of strength if some of our teachers end up becoming leaders in other places, because we only have a certain amount of leadership positions to go around. But to me, that means we're actually fostering the kind of growth that any of us want in the professions that we pursue. So for the first initiative is around developing our administrators to give quality, meaningful feedback to teachers. So every month, I work with myself, Dr. Smith, we meet with principals, starting to meet with assistant principals around giving teachers really coaching. Now, it's not punitive in an evaluative sort of way. Of course, we do our evaluations. But how do you make the interactions in the visits to classrooms more about educator development? And so we do a lot of role playing. Principals can tell you, we videotape each other. They don't like the videotaping part of it. But where else do you get feedback like that? Because in many schools, the administrators there might be 3 if they're lucky, but they don't get a lot of time to watch each other giving feedback to other adults. And to me, that is the single most important thing that our leaders can do. I need to do that with the administrators that work in the district. Principals need to do that with teachers, just like teachers need to do that with students. So we do a lot of work around giving bite-size, not a laundry list of 100 things that you need to change. Because adults don't change. None of us want to change if we get a report of, here's 150 changes you have to make in your practice by tomorrow. It's about, here's the one high leverage nugget that I want to see that should change in your practice. Hopefully that's a collaborative discussion. And I'm going to come back and watch to see that happen. So we've done a lot of work in that area. And how do we link the feedback to the school's high leverage goal so that it's not out of thin air, and to the individual goals that teachers set at the beginning of the year. As part of the supervision and evaluation initiative, or the law in the state, every educator needs to set goals at the beginning of the year. Principals, myself, Dr. Smith, anybody who works in a school district has to set goals. And so hopefully the feedback is meaningful, linked to their goals, and or linked to the school's goals as well. So we've invested a lot in developing our principals. So our PD is not, our professional development is not just talking about operational issues and policies and practice, which many people think that's what we do all day, is we talk about operational. My 3 hours every month with principals is really focusing on developing them to be better instructional leaders in their buildings. I'll pass it over to Dr. Smith to talk about the next initiative.
So this microphone is for cable TV, so it's not making my voice any louder, so I didn't want people to be listening, find out what's going on with that. I just want to say that Dr. Zreich has done an amazing job with that first bullet. Those PD sessions for the principals and directors and assistant principals have really been awesome. I mean, we are working together. I can see over the course of the last 2 years how much better we've all gotten, how much better I've improved. All of us have improved with our bite-sized feedback with teachers as a result of that ongoing training and work that we've been doing. Speaking of professional development, that's the professional development we're doing for leaders, but professional development for teachers and paraprofessionals is probably one of the most critical things that we can do. We've in the previous years, we've really kind of had a one-size-fits-all professional development experience that a lot of teachers have talked to us about, really needing a much more differentiated experience, a much more targeted experience, and an experience that's really linked to our district strategy. So we've worked really hard to redesign professional development in the Wakefield Public Schools this year. As parents, you probably wonder what goes on those Wednesday early release days. I pick up my kids, and I'm sure you're probably thinking, I hope they're doing something good at school, because I'm stuck with the kiddos all afternoon. But we are doing some things that are really good. And we started off by putting together a professional development task force, and that was made up of teachers from across the district, administrators. We really sat at the table and we looked at what have we done in the past, what do we need to do better. We looked at the Massachusetts standards for high quality professional development. How can we design ours to meet that level of standard? And some of the key pieces, we looked at differentiation. There are so many roles in this district, and people really need differentiated PD for what they need. We also looked at educator choice and giving people an option to really talk about what do I need right now to enhance my learning experience. So one of the things that we came up with that we designed was a 3-part series, menu option series, for both content pedagogy and for instructional technology. And it's been really powerful because teachers were able to choose from a menu option and really select something that was meaningful for their grade level, for their role, for what they felt that they needed. And so far we're off to a really great start with that. We had to really think about a balance of what we're doing that's school-based, what are we doing that's district-based, where is that balance? So largely the Wednesday early release days are really the district-led initiatives. Like I mentioned, we have the content and pedagogy, we have instructional technology, we have the shift to the Common Core standards, and we have universal design for learning. Those are the key pieces that we're looking at on those Wednesday early release days. On the Monday afternoon professional meeting times, we're doing more school-based initiatives, and each school is targeting their own school improvement plan and setting up strategies and professional learning experiences around those. Probably, though, I would say of everything that we've done this year, the thing that I'm the most excited about and that has really taken off is the job-embedded professional development. Dr. Soroka and I are very passionate about the day-to-day, ongoing, week-to-week, month-to-month development that teachers are getting in the classroom. It starts with the bite-sized feedback and the feedback that they're getting from evaluators and coaches. But the other really big piece is we've invested in last year's budget, based on a lot of the feedback we got, that we need support systems in the school for our teachers. So we invested in literacy coaches at every elementary school. These literacy coaches are absolutely amazing, the work that they've been doing at their schools. They're there, they go all day long. It's to support teachers in the classroom and to coach, provide feedback, support teams. They've really done a great job. We've also invested in 5 through 12 coordinators in English language arts, math, and science. Again, the 3 individuals in those roles have done an incredible job coaching teams, supporting teachers in the classroom, really helping elevate teaching and learning. They're teaching one class, but the rest of their day they spend in the coaching role. So people are getting on-the-job professional development on a daily basis. And then finally, the 2 K through 12 directors in visual and performing arts and in health and wellness, they're guiding from a system-wide level. They're guiding the teachers in those key areas that sometimes are often overlooked or maybe don't have someone in their content area that can really speak to them. So I think we've made a lot of gains. We've pulled the paraprofessionals into the professional development as well this year, and that largely has gone really well. It is our first year. We still have a long way to go. I would say if I had to identify the 2 pieces that now that we're into it, that the PD task force is talking about improving, is still some of our work for paraprofessionals. I think we still have a way to go with that and really getting it right for those important people in our schools. And I would say the second thing is, one of the things we didn't realize is that when we combined the content and pedagogy menu option with the some of the special education, ELL, some of those were in the same menu option. By overlapping them, I think we ended up, people had to make a choice between 2 things that they really needed. So we're talking about separating those next year. So we have a lot on our plate, but we're working hard, and I think we've really improved a lot in that area.
And the coaches and coordinators will go a long way to helping with this consistency that we talked about before, because with the literacy coaches who meet regularly with Dr. Smith, there is some oversight of what we're doing systemically and discussion happening on a regular basis. The other issue that we've long had is especially the transition points, 4th to 5th and 8th to 9th. And so the coordinators particularly, 5 to 12 coordinators have done a tremendous amount of work. I mean, I don't know that we've seen all we've seen it yet all take hold because they're new in their roles, but they are now meeting across schools. Their roles are between the middle and the high school. So for the first time, many of those conversations are happening because you have a free person who is able to work and collaborate with teachers across the middle and the high school. We still don't have coordinators in certain content areas, which is an area of concern. In foreign language, we don't. In social studies, we don't. And those are the 2 big.
And math, K through 4.
And then math, K to 4. So there are holes in that model as far as we see it. But we think the promise of these coaches and coordinators to develop that consistency and implement the direction that we're going is critical. The next is a high leverage teaching practice. Instead of, again, one thing we believe in is you've got to keep it simple. And so for schools to have 70 different goals for improvement, each school has one high leverage teaching practice that they are focusing their school-based work on. Okay? And if you look at every school's improvement plan, which should be on their website, it will highlight what that instructional practice is, which is linked to the teacher evaluation instrument. Again, it's helping keep us centered, each school centered on one high leverage practice so that people don't feel overwhelmed with, we got to do all these different things. But presumably, if it's done the right way, they've decided collectively as a school that we're going to focus on this one area. So we have schools that are focused on, right now, on student discourse. We have a school that's focused on giving feedback. We have a school that's focused on the rigor of questioning. We have a school that's focused on clear objectives to students. Okay? Now, where we have improvement is, I don't know how much, to what extent all of you, as parents, know what the high leverage practice is at your child's school. And I'm not quizzing you on it now. But you should go back and ask. You should be able to ask anybody at the school, what is your high leverage teaching practice that you're working on? And we have to do a better job of engaging our parents around what that is. Because again, improvement doesn't happen with a litany of things that you do, but getting good at 1 or 2, maybe 3 high leverage practices is how I believe, or we believe, that schools will improve over time.
So the next, the first 2 bullets here are around what we're doing with curriculum. It has been a very busy year for curriculum. You may be experiencing some of that at home as parents. So the first goal in this bucket was to expose every child and have every teacher rolling out rigorous, standards-based curriculum in English language arts, a common experience across the grade level, K through 12. I think one of the things that Dr. Wright learned last year in his kind of listening and learning tour and really finding out what's going on with Wakefield is that we were really short on curriculum materials, really a lot of outdated textbooks, and really a lack of common experiences. He talked about consistency. You know, is the experiencing that you're getting, you know, in grade 2 at one elementary school the same as you'll get at another? Is that 7th grade experience common? Is your Algebra 2 class different by what teacher you happen to have? Or do you have a common experience in terms of the content knowledge and skills that you're gaining or learning? So what we did was we designed a plan that at every grade level, and we purchased all the materials. We made a really big investment coming into this year, that they will have 1 unit or module of model curriculum. And they're sort of in 3 different stages. K to 2, it was designed by our literacy coaches and a team of teachers. They did a backward design. They did a beautiful job on that. From grade 3 to 8, we're using what's called the Expeditionary Learning module, which is a Common Core aligned ELA module. And then 9 through 12, we're using these model curriculum units that you can find on the Department of Education website. So we've implemented those across the district. I have to say, you know, there are pros and cons, but it has been really exciting watching our students engage in these highly engaging, highly rigorous experiences. Some of the most common themes are the teachers saying, wow, it's like unbelievable what our kids are able to do. And they're really reaching some of these standards. The other thing that's been great for the teachers is the opportunity for them to be able to collaborate, you know, across the district or across that grade level, that they're all teaching the same thing, they're all experiencing the same thing, they're able to share their experiences. So that's been pretty exciting and pretty powerful. I would say the challenge is it's very new to us. It's been an awful lot on the teachers' shoulders, and I'm really proud of the teachers in Wakefield. They have really gone beyond the call of duty pulling this off, and they're doing an amazing job. We're also piloting math curriculum. Many of you may know this. We're piloting in grades K through 8. We're piloting 2 Common Core aligned curriculum programs. One is called Envision Math, and in grades 6 through 8, the corresponding one is called CMP3. And then the other one that we're piloting is called Math in Focus. So I don't know if any of your children have brought home those materials. Again, very challenging. It's very rigorous. It's a different approach. There's a lot of focus on the mathematical practices and deep understanding. It's a very exciting time for us. This year, I would say, is a little messy in that we're really doing 3 things. We're doing the 2 pilot programs, and then a third of the teachers are doing what we've always done before in Wakefield. So we're all aiming for the standards, but we are doing 3 different things. But it will be worth it, because by the end of this year, we'll make a decision on what we're all doing, and then we'll have that consistency again. A consistent plan. We'll have updated textbooks and materials in kids' hands, in teachers' hands. They come with a lot of online resources that are really wonderful. So I think by the end of this year, when we have our decision, we'll really be able to move the Wakefield Public Schools forward in mathematics. A very, very exciting time. We will need to hear from you, so as time goes on. We would like to hear some feedback. I'm sure I see a few heads shaking, like you must be trying to help the kids with the math homework and have no idea how to help them. That's okay, it's all right. In fact, one of the things I do want you to know is on the WPS curriculum website, right now I'm starting to upload a lot of tips for parents, information for parents, how to help you better understand the Common Core. I have a high school student helping me because he's much better with designing a website than I am. So I'm actually not sure where he is, so give me and him about a week, and hopefully that will all be up there for you to take a look at. So hopefully that'll be helpful. And finally, we're piloting a new phonics curriculum, grades K through 2. That's also been really exciting to watch. So by the end of this year, we'll really have a sense of where we're going with that. So we've made a huge investment, not only in new curriculum, but Common Core aligned curriculum that's really at a high standard. And going back to something Dr. Strike said at the beginning of the session about getting out front and being innovative, a moment that made me really proud was I was at a session that had a number of curriculum directors and assistant superintendents, and they were talking about where they are in these pieces. And let me just say, Wakefield is out in front. And I had a very, very proud moment to be talking about how we're out in front. Are we perfect? No. We've taken some bold risks. And so I was really proud. I'm not going to name the communities that were there that are behind, but let's just say we were out in front, and it was a proud moment for the Wakefield Public Schools.
Yeah, one thing you can say, Dr. Smith and
That's
I
a good time to clap.
Very competitive people, we've learned.
We are. Yes,
Not
we are.
like to be second to anybody. And she's much more competitive than I am, I will say.
Yeah, we're on pretty even par.
Along with the curriculum pilots, just so you know, this is the first phase of what we introduced. At the end of last year, we presented to the school committee a 5-year plan for curriculum overhaul in this district. And so we have it mapped out for the next 5 years. We actually can put that out on the website so you can see what we had presented last year. This was phase 1, so we're on target with what we said. We're going to look at math and phonics this year. We're next going to be looking at some of the ELA material, the writing material across the district, which we're weak in right now, is consistency in writing. And then ultimately we need to look at our science and social studies material across the district, but that's coming. Technology integration, this has been quite a ride this year with technology. We've had some ups and downs this year. I'm very proud of the high school and the middle school administration, the administrators that are here, and the staff. They have really, their open-mindedness about introducing technology has far out exceeded where I thought we would be, and that's really a credit to the educators, because we have put a lot of technology in the district in a short time, and what has been remarkable is how often it's being used. It's not being used yet to where we'd like to see it, but the fact that people are trying it in their classrooms and using it is the first big step, and I'm really proud of our educators for doing that. At the high school, we have the Bring Your Own Device initiative, which has worked well. We're very thankful for parents that outfitted their students with devices of their choice, giving them flexibility in what they choose. We had some initial startup issues with the network, and it was very congested, but we had a breakthrough about a month and a half ago. Thanks actually to one of our parents. I'm gonna say his name because I want to embarrass him. He's not here, but his wife is Scott Hartman has been really instrumental. Let's give him a round of applause. Tim can take some credit because he's married to him, and our tech team and the town has been. But we had a breakthrough, and we've had a really our network has not been an issue for kids, and we now have about close to 3,000 new devices in the district from last year to this year. We knew there were going to be issues, and it took us, I think, about till November, December to finally, I think the teachers will tell you there's been a big improvement. And at the Galvin this week, this week, right, Mr. Bedrosian, they are launching the one-to-one initiative, where every student will be given a device that stays at school and travels with them through the school day. So we're interested to see how that goes. They've already been using the devices with teachers who were early adopters, but now everybody will be using it. Again, don't expect it to be perfect, but the fact that everybody will have the technology and will begin using it, some teachers more than others. We have some teachers that are light years ahead of where others are, but that's okay. Our professional development needs to be tailored to where different people are. And I was just talking to the high school principal about, he's designing a PD day next week, and they're trying to get as many differentiated groups now that they know where their staff is. It's what we should be doing in the classroom. We're doing for adults to make sure that we meet every teacher there where they are. And it's okay if some are just using it to submit homework, but we now need to take the next step. And then at the elementary schools, every 4th grade has a Chromebook cart in them, which again, we have teachers all over the spectrum, but we see more and more use. And then our plan for next year is that 3rd graders would also have devices in their classroom. I think in the K2 space, it's an area we're still thinking about. I am interested, though, in making sure that every K2 classroom has at least 3 or 4 devices that they can use for a center. We have the computer lab, but I'm not a big believer in the computer lab, because what it says is the lab is a separate place away from the regular teaching and learning. Technology should be integrated as part of the regular learning, not as a separate place. Oh, we're now going to the lab. This is where we do technology. No, technology should be happening everywhere. So for us, some of our elementary teachers have asked to at least have a center worth of the Chromebooks for kids as early as kindergarten. I mean, we all know kindergartners have the ability to use those devices well. So right now, we've got a plan for 3rd grade next year, and then where we go beyond that, I think we're still in conversations as a district. The professional development is still an area of growth for us. I don't think we're quite there yet with making sure that we are providing all our teachers with the support that they need to not just introduce it, but to really use it in dynamic ways. How do we use it as a real tool for engagement? How do we use our high-flying teachers to work with their peers? How do we bring outside folks in to provide professional development? So that's an area of continuous growth for us.
Maybe, can I just add
Sure.
to from a parent's perspective, too, I think a lot of parents have been asking, even just yesterday, parents were saying, I'd really like to learn how to use the Chromebook so I can help my child at home. A lot of parents are asking about Google Apps for Education, like if I could learn to use it better, I'll know how it functions, I'll be able to help my child at home. So we're definitely planning on different times and ways that we can provide some professional development or some training for parents. I know at the Wakefield Parent University coming up, I think that'll probably be one of the better sessions there, or at least the most popular sessions there, to get some experience on Chromebooks and Google Apps for Education. And I think also I'm part of the Technology Council. Some of my fellow members are here tonight. But the Technology Council has really been asking the question, like, do parents really know, and I think they want to know, how do we use technology in the classroom? Like, what are they actually doing with it? I mean, it's great that they have devices, but how does it actually enhance the curriculum? And I think we have to do a really good job in the coming year of answering that question. This is how it's being used. This is how it's helping our students learn and develop. So just a couple of little points there.
Yeah, Plug for Parent University is March 21st, right here at the Galvin from 8 to 12. And technology is we've gotten a lot of feedback, as Dr. Smith said. So please, we hope to see many of you there.
So Universal Design is one of the professional development pieces that we've worked on this year across the district. Every faculty member and staff member, pre-K through 12, has been involved in this. Basically what Universal Design for Learning is, are you familiar with CAST? Do you know the CAST, the Educational Research Company located right here in Wakefield? We've partnered with them to provide us with some professional development around Universal Design for Learning. And basically it's about differentiated instruction and meeting the varied needs of a very diverse group of learners that are before every teacher in their classroom. But the universal design has to do with like a really proactive approach when you're designing your lessons and planning your curriculum so that you're thinking ahead about that variance in your classroom. So, and when we think about differentiated instruction, a lot of times people think about that we're just talking about special education, and we're not. And sometimes we think we're just talking about different learning styles. We're not. We're talking about all kinds of differences in children. what kids are passionate about, what they like, what are they interested in. Are they hands-on, learning style kid, or are they a kid who is more like auditory? What are the ways they learn, the ways they learn best? And universal design is about the teacher really thinking out front about how can I design this lesson to meet a very wide range of learning needs. So that's what we've embarked on as a district. I think we've been talking about, Dr. Swank and I, strengths and weaknesses so far. I think that really the weakness that we see, or the challenge that's still before us with universal design, is I think after the first, most of the teachers have been through the first training, some have been through the second training or coming into that. We don't see it coming alive yet in the classroom. We don't see that application yet kind of making it into our classrooms, but that's something that's a challenge ahead of us that we have to really keep working on. But we're excited about the philosophically what we're doing with it, and certainly about our partnership with CAST and Wakefield. Do I have the next one? Oh, yes. I have the next one too. Okay, collaborative teacher teams. So in a huge investment in our success in the district is this collaborative teacher team piece. So you'll see a couple of acronyms here. The first one, PLCs, means Professional Learning Community. And basically that model is that we've established a network of small educator teams across the entire district. Every educator in this district, including Steve and I, is part of a PLC team. And that is typically a grade level team, a content area team. And the purpose of a PLC team is to look at student performance, student growth, and student work specifically, and talk about instructional strategies and share what's going on in our classrooms and collaborating, all with the goal of raising student growth and achievement. It's a very, very powerful system to have. I think it's really taking hold in our district now. The big gains we've made this year is embedding that time during the school day at the Galvin Middle School and Wakefield High School. To this point, it had always been after school, and with all of the other professional development needs and professional meeting needs, it was very hard to get that network truly off the ground. But now at the Galvin Middle School and Wakefield High School, those PLC teacher teams actually have that time embedded into the school day, and they meet regularly with those teams, and we can really see the results and the impact on student learning. When teachers are able to sit together and talk about instruction and say, why are our kids doing well, or why are they struggling with this, and what do we need to do, that really produces some big gains. So our struggle right now is pre-K through 4. We do not yet have that embedded in the school day. They're still trying to meet after school to get that work done, and we really need to take that next step. And our goal is, and we're committed to next year, that they will also, pre-K through 4, have that time embedded during the school day. And the other acronym here is ILT, and that's an Instructional Leadership Team. And this is about building leadership capacity in every school. So every school has its own instructional leadership team. Back in the day, sometimes you'd have leader teams meet, and it was very operational. I think the thing I love about ILTs is the name. It's an instructional leadership team. And all of the work of those leadership teams in every school is around the school improvement plan and raising the level of teaching and learning in that school and instructional improvement. So the other big piece of both of what these teams are doing is really using data to inform what we do as a school district. I would say that's an area we still really need to grow. I think we have been a rather data-poor district, and we want to become a data-rich district. So we're really working on what are the data sources that we need, how can we make data like an important and regular piece of both our PLC and ILT work in the district.
And finally, the last initiative here is about specialized supports. These are areas that we specialize population of students that we definitely want to make sure we allocate resources and look at our programming. It should be no secret that early childhood has been a big priority. We opened the Doyle very successfully, I think, this year, and credit to Ms. Perriello and her team. It really has it's afforded more opportunities for learners to come into our school system, both in the general education and special education program, and it's also helped to focus supports on our most needy and struggling learners coming into our school district. And I don't think I think it used to be for families who were new to our school system with a child that may have had needs, they were kind of lost in a school that wasn't dedicated specifically to that age group. And now we have a school, a director, a team that's really focused on our earliest learners. As soon as they turn 3, they're with us, and we continue to want to expand how many seats. We have a huge demand for full-day preschool seats right now, and I think we're going to far exceed our capacity, but that's a good problem to have. And as the program continues to improve, and our credibility as an early childhood center, I think that bodes well for our school system moving forward. And then, of course, kindergarten there's been a lot of buzz about full-day kindergarten. And I'm not going to get into the details about that now, but that is something we believe as we talk about consistency of experience. It is concerning that you have some children that have one experience and then a whole group of other students that have another. And as we talk about making sure that our students, regardless of their socioeconomic level, their background, whatever it may be, that all children need to have a strong kindergarten experience, however we choose to define it for the town of Wakefield. So that's another area that we continue to work on. Special education continues to be an area of tremendous need and work in this district. Lynn O'Neill has done a lot of work in the last year, but we have a tremendous amount left to do. I would not say we're even close to where we want to be in special education. A lot of it's about professional development for staff. We have some program coherence issues still in terms of programming K-12, alignment between programs in the district. I believe as a school system we continue to be way too exclusionary of a school district. There are too many children who are not getting their instruction in the core classroom. And that is problematic to me because in my opinion, it doesn't matter how good the teacher is outside of the class, but in a small group, you're not going to get the same experience you are in your grade level classroom. Children deserve to have grade level experiences, regardless of what their academic profile is. It is our responsibility to, as Dr. Smith was talking, to create the opportunity for them to access the curriculum in a way that they can. Clearly, we do have students that need some intensive supports, and we will continue to do that. But for the majority of our learners, their learning needs to happen in the core classroom. And that is an area we have a tremendous amount of work still to do in this district, and will be a priority for us moving forward. We have many more English language learners that continue to arrive in Wakefield. I mean, right now it's 30. It doesn't sound like a lot, but we have to provide services to those students, and the number of non-native speakers continues to increase year by year, and will. And we have responsibilities to ensure that we have personnel, that some of our English language learners require 2.5 hours a day of direct services by law. And so we have work to do in that area. And then STEM enrichment, which I don't really think belongs here, but I'll speak to it for a second, is this year we launched a robotics program, an engineering program at the middle school. Dr. Smith has just launched a STEM task force, and we're adding the A for arts, so it's really STEAM, to really look at the opportunities we provide our students K-12 around computer science, engineering, and more accelerated math programs. We have a whole host of students that want those opportunities. I know at the middle school the demand exceeds what we can do, what we can offer right now, and we've got to look at the high school as well, is looking to grow their programming around STEAM education.
And Dr. Sprague, I think the reason it did end up on the slide there is when we talk about that individualized student learning, we have to think about enrichment, and we have to think about programs that are pointed for our kids who just need to fly, those kids that just want that opportunity to go take it to the next level. To see 6th graders doing robotics is a pretty incredible experience. So I think we want to make sure that we're also really investing in our students who might be, above grade level or just really excited or passionate about a different interest, and making sure that we're thinking about them when we think about individualized student learning. So just like a little extra comment on that.
Okay, we're going to make sure we get everybody to breakout groups, but so we have, for each initiative, we have year-long action plans. Next year, my plan is that those documents become public. Just still sorting out what these actually are. You know, I'm not ready to present them yet because we're learning how to use them. But you should all see the action plan, the delivery model that's behind each of the initiatives. But we have them for each one of the 9 initiatives we talked about. And that should be public. And what we do is on a quarterly basis, we're coming up to the second quarter, is my team looks at the, we've established, we call it a stock take. And we've established indicators of success for all of the objectives and initiatives you just saw, and we essentially code them. Are they trending green, which means we're in good shape? Are they yellow, we have some area of improvement? Or are they red, which means we've got some work to do. We place bets on these things, and if it's red, that means we've got to do some work in adjusting our thinking. So right now, out of our 9 initiatives, actually the number got cut out. We have 4 trending green, this should say 4 trending yellow, and we have 1 trending red. Okay, which is pretty good, but we have some work to do in the yellow, in the red, to ensure that we're accelerating those areas. You can ask me later which ones those are, but I think you can tell from some of the comments the areas that we are most concerned with. Part of the strength of a school district is the ability to mid-course correct. We can't wait to the end of the year to say, oh, you know what? We were a red on this initiative. Too late. Too late. There's a lot of work that happens from September to the end of the year. So right now, at the end of the first quarter, we course corrected, meaning we may deploy more resources to one initiative. We may change some of the staffing. My focus, or Dr. Smith, or the principal's focus, has to go in spend more time in one area. But again, as a system, we're trying to get better that these stock takes happen quarterly. So we're about to have our second quarter, which is just right because we're now at the 90th, almost at the 90th day of the school year. And so that's something as a school district we want to get. It's too late to report at the end of the year, you know, this is how we did. One of the challenges that we have that Dr. Smith talked about is we are an incredibly data poor district. It is an area of focus that I want to work on this summer in particular, is how do we access more information about how we're doing. Not just MCAS or PARCC scores, but regular assessments we give children, you know, assessments, meaningful assessments. There's also data on student discipline, on referrals to the office, students that need social emotional supports, the number of students that have intervention, absences, tardies, those things. We don't have, our systems need to be upgraded to have our fingertips on that information so we can be making regular decisions about our work. And so that's work that Dr. Smith and I have, and our central office team, have to figure out, and we need to put that information in front of our teachers and our principals, because right now, if we don't have the information, they don't. We do have pockets of information, but not enough where, for us to be making strategic decisions year in and year out. Just to talk about the budget process, which we're moving into, this strategy will drive the budget. It has to. We're not wavering from the objectives and the initiatives that we've discussed here tonight, and it's going to drive our thinking. The budget process we're embarking on now has to be an opportunity for us to look at how we use our resources, not just about adding resources, but it could be about shifting or repurposing resources. It has to engage all of you, which is what tonight is an attempt to do. And we've engaged our staff. We did this with our staff. And the dialogue will continue all the way until town meeting in May, when the budget is approved, hopefully, by all of you, the townspeople of Wakefield. It has to be bold, but responsible. And the most important thing is it has to be iterative, meaning I don't just present in February and it's a done deal. We have to, I think last year we did show that we presented, we got feedback, we made adjustments. We presented again, we got feedback, and we made adjustments. And that's what we'll do again this year. It can't be just a one-shot deal that I develop in a back office somewhere and present, but rather it's got to be a continual dialogue with the community. So on your paper, so now if you could take out your paper, the one that, the colorful side, you can see that we listed a series of priorities that I've heard in my travels through town. And the principals have heard and we've heard from teachers and parents. And I just took a stab at what some of those were under quality teaching, what some of those were under rigorous curriculum, and then around individualized student learning. Some priorities that we might think about investing our resources. And what we're looking for here tonight is for your feedback. But before I get there, about the breakouts, this is the budget schedule that's upcoming. Okay, we're right now in the planning phases. On February 24th, I will present to the school committee the first round or the first draft of the budget. Right now, the school committee subcommittee of the budget is working closely with myself and Mr. Pifferling and Dr. Smith, and we will be presenting something to the rest of the school committee on the 24th. Then there's much discussion that happens in February and March. I will actually go to each school and share it with our teachers to get their feedback. And then on March 10th is the public hearing, which is the opportunity for the community to come out and there's an open, well, it's not open mic night, but it's an opportunity to give your feedback on the aspects of the budget you celebrate or areas that you'd like to see addressed that maybe weren't addressed. And then on March 24th, hopefully if all goes well, the school committee will vote to approve the budget that will move forward to the town. After which I'll have conversations with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, or the school committee will have conversations with them. And then on a date to be determined later, there'll be town meeting in May. So it is a very long, May seems like a long time from here. But we are in the full throes of the budget process right now. So tonight, each of you has a breakout group. If you look at the top of your colorful side, you have a room number on the top. Okay, and I split people up on purpose, so if you came in with somebody, you're not with that person. That was intentional. Okay, there are, so you have a room number, and there will be administrators from our staff that will be there. And we have two key questions that we want to get your take on. What resonated with you about the presentation? Does anything need to be underscored, or was anything overlooked? And then more importantly, we'd love for you to have a conversation about the following areas on the priority document that you think we should, that we should really focus on as we prepare the FY16 budget. Is there anything missing as well? And that list is not an all-encompassing list. Is there something we've overlooked that you think needs to be included? And it's going to be very hard, but at the end of the night, you can only select 3 choices from this sheet. And then you can write an optional other on the bottom. And we're going to ask you to leave this with us, because I'm going to tally all this information. And I'm actually going to be sharing it with the school committee this weekend, because we have a meeting over the weekend that I want to share this data with them. So we really want your honest feedback. But I also want you to have an opportunity to discuss with some of our administrators who can answer some of your questions and can help facilitate this dialogue. Okay, so what I would ask is that you all head to your assigned rooms. I want to thank you for coming tonight. The conversation will last about no more than 25 minutes to half an hour. We'll all be out of here by 8:30. Thank you very much, and enjoy your dialogue.